Utah has the 8th worst air quality in the United States. The Wasatch Front contributes largely to this. Our air quality is measured based on the pollutants in Utah's air. The most significant pollutants along the Wasatch Front include PM 2.5 pollutants, ground level ozone, carbon monoxide, lead, and nitrogen dioxide. PM 2.5 pollutants, also known as particulate matter, are particles less than or equal to 10 micrometers in diameter. They are small enough to invade the lungs, potentially causing serious health problems. They account for almost half of the typical winter workday emissions, with area sources such as homes, small businesses, and buildings at a close second contributing 39%, and industry point sources contributing 13%. Carbon monoxide is a gas that is 1 part carbon and 1 part oxygen. It is colorless, odorless, and emitted from combustion processes. Nationally, and particularly in urban areas, the majority of carbon monoxide emissions in ambient air come from mobile sources. Carbon monoxide can cause harmful health effects by reducing oxygen delivery to the body's vital organs, such as the heart and brain, and to body tissues. At extremely high levels, carbon monoxide can even be lethal. Sources of lead emissions vary from one area to another. At the national level, major sources of lead in the air are ore and metals processing and piston engine aircraft operating on leaded aviation fuel. Other sources are waste incinerators, utilities, and lead-acid battery manufacturers. The highest air concentrations of lead are usually found near lead smelters, where lead is processed and transformed into different products. Ground level or bad ozone is not emitted directly into the air, but instead is created by chemical reactions between nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds, also known as VOCs, in the presence of sunlight. Some examples of VOCs common in the home include acetone, benzene, ethylene glycol, formaldehyde, perchloroethylene, and xylene. Emissions from industrial facilities and electric utilities, such as motor vehicle exhaust, gasoline vapors, and chemical solvents are some of the major sources of nitrogen oxides and VOCs. Breathing ozone can trigger a variety of health problems, particularly for children, the elderly, and people of all ages who suffer from lung diseases such as asthma. Ground level ozone can also have harmful effects on sensitive vegetation and ecosystems. Like carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide is a pollutant in the form of a gas. It is 1 atom of nitrogen and 2 atoms of oxygen. Nitrogen dioxide is one compound in a group of highly reactive gases known as oxides of nitrogen or nitrogen oxides. Examples of nitrogen oxides include nitrous acid and nitric acid, which are found in nitrogen compounds and rocket fuel. The EPA's National Ambient Air Quality Standard uses nitrogen dioxide as the indicator for the larger group of nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen dioxide forms from emissions from cars, trucks and buses, power plants, and off-road equipment. In addition to contributing to the formation of ground-level ozone and fine particle pollution, nitrogen dioxide is linked with a number of adverse effects on the respiratory system. Because of all the health and environmental problems pollution causes, it is important for us to make a conscious effort to fix and prevent it. The small choices we make at home can definitely affect our air quality. We can reduce emissions by the way we maintain and use vehicles, the transportation choices we make, how efficiently we use energy, and by purchasing household, lawn and garden products with clean air in mind. Changing the way we use vehicles can positively affect our air quality and emission levels. By driving less and driving smarter, we can reduce the amount of particulate matter and pollutants our cars emit while driving. When speaking to Mayor Caldwell, he explained more about a place with similar air quality and what actions they had taken.
It's interesting, they have done a couple of case studies of Mexico City. Mexico City is very similar in terms of geography to what we have along the Wasatch Front. It was in an old lake basin. And there were days when you couldn't see. Mexico City, I believe I read somewhere that they had out of, I believe about 20 years ago when they started this initiative, they had like 280 red air days, extremely unhealthy air days. And they underwent some really unique changes in terms of how the city managed and allowed pollution to change that. And I believe just a couple of years ago, the most they had were 12 bad air days in Mexico City. Part of what they did is they moved industry out of the basin so that it wasn't polluting and being capped like we get here with the inversions. They did programs where they had even and odd days, so if your car license plate, the last digit on it had an even number, you could drive into the city that day. If you had an odd number, you got fined for driving that in. So they immediately cut half. I mean, really dramatic measures to cut air pollution in Mexico City. We haven't had the appetite or seen that sense of urgency here yet, but we'll get to that point if we don't start finding more efficient ways to move around.
To help reduce vehicle emissions along the Wasatch Front, try structuring drives around what will be most efficient. Example, picking up the kids and then going to buy milk in the same trip. When able, use alternatives like public transportation. Something else we found to be both innovative and exciting were electric buses. Upon further research, we found out more about companies like Green Power. The Green Power bus utilizes electricity and batteries rather than the traditional gas and fuel tank. Launched 3 years ago, the company hopes to spread its eco-friendly bus into other areas. Another way to get from point A to point B is biking. To make biking a safer experience, the Master Bike Plan is being implemented all over Ogden's community.
So you've talked about a master bike plan. I understand that it lets people move on their bikes more. What is it really?
Bike and pedestrians, so we find key corridors through the city that make it easier to travel. And so sometimes you put a different treatment on the street, so it's not a really rough kind of slurry seal, which a lot of people will talk about not liking. It makes it scary to ride on. A lot of the roads get crowned over years, so when you're riding a bike, you're kind of riding it on a downslope, and the infrastructure along there may have potholes or other things that force you back into the roadway. So it prioritizes making those preferred routes through the city a lot cleaner and easier to navigate. Sometimes you have a protected bike lane, so people don't feel like they're going to get hit from behind, and there's a physical barrier between where the automobiles are and where the biker or pedestrian is. So it's just a full network of ways to get through the community that are much safer and get first priority. So plows would plow a lot of those roads first, so people don't end up having snow on the road until noon and not being able to get around and feeling like that's dangerous or unsafe. It really does tie everything together. There are a couple, Ogden's unique in that you leave downtown and you got a couple of really stout hills to get up to Weaver State. And so they have a step process like they have in San Francisco where you can climb a little bit of a hill and have a nice straightaway, climb a little bit further and have a straightaway, and you can step up to Weaver State instead of feeling like they have to go straight up to the hill to Weaver, and it makes it much easier for people that don't feel like I'm not an expert biker or anything else, so I don't think I can do that. It makes it really easy and convenient for people to get around.
And or switching from a 2-stroke to a 4-stroke engine. Four-stroke engines create fewer emissions because they don't burn oil the way 2-stroke engines do. A 4-stroke engine creates 1/10 of the pollutants of a 2-stroke engine. While it may not seem like hairspray, carpet cleaner, or air fresheners can contribute to the Wasatch Front's particulate matter problem, they do. Solvents contained in common products such as paints, varnishes, preservatives, waxes, dry cleaning products, polishes, degreasers, and automotive products emit volatile organic compounds, which contribute to the formation of fine particulates. New carpeting, backing and adhesives, wood products manufactured using certain glues, Finishes and vinyl-type flooring and wall coverings can also release VOCs into the air. To help reduce the amounts of particulate matter you create, try using organic alternatives. There is almost always an organic alternative available in stores along with the original brand. Using organic cleaning products in place of regular store brand products can help reduce particulate matter.